Deep sea monsters, uncharted ocean depths. Have you ever felt that quiet fear? That the ocean isn't just water, but a living, breathing entity watching you back? A realm so vast, so unexplored, that every dive into its darkness feels like trespassing into another world. For centuries, we've looked up at the stars wondering if we're alone in the universe. But the truth is, we haven't even begun to understand the alien world that exists beneath our own feet. A world where sunlight dies, where pressure could crush steel, and where creatures, monstrous and magnificent, thrive in silence. Beneath the gentle waves and glittering surfaces we see from above lies an abyss so deep that only a handful of humans have ever reached it. The ocean floor, stretching thousands of miles, yet almost completely unseen. To put it simply, we know more about the surface of Mars than the bottom of our own planet's oceans. And perhaps that's for a reason. Down there, in the crushing dark, things move. Things that defy biology, logic, and everything we thought we knew about life on Earth. Predators that glow with ghostly light. Beasts that appear and vanish like shadows, and shapes caught on sonar that no one can identify or explain. The deep sea is not empty. It's alive and ancient. Older than us, older than the continents, older than memory itself. Imagine drifting down into that blackness. At first the light fades into deep blue, then indigo, and then nothing. No sound, no sun, no direction. Just an endless cold that feels alive. Yet somehow through that endless void, you sense movement. Something brushing against your mind, not your body. It's as if the ocean itself remembers you, because it's seen everything that ever lived and everything that ever died. This is where our story begins, not with myth but with mystery, because what we call sea monsters may not just be legends. They might be glimpses, brief and terrifying, of real creatures from the depths that civilization was never meant to meet. The first encounters. Long before submarines and sonar, sailors told stories. Stories of impossible things that rose from the waves at night. Tentacles the size of ships, eyes glowing like lanterns, mouths large enough to swallow entire crews. They weren't just drunk tales told by firelight. Many of those early reports came from disciplined explorers, naval officers, cartographers, scientists, men who risked their lives to chart the world. And when they saw something they couldn't understand, they recorded it. Trembling, the kraken, the leviathan, the sea serpent of St. Augustine. Different names, same terror. Each culture described it differently, but the core remained the same. A massive, intelligent predator from below, emerging only to hunt or defend its domain. What's chilling is that, centuries later, science would prove that some of these myths were real. For example, the giant squid, a creature once dismissed as fantasy, was finally photographed alive only in 2004. A massive, ghostly animal with tentacles stretching over 40 feet long, eyes the size of dinner plates, and strength enough to scar whales. It lives in the twilight depths, where no light reaches, waiting, drifting, hunting. If a creature that large could remain hidden for so long, what else could be down there? Into the abyss. The ocean is divided into zones, like layers of an alien planet. The surface, bright, warm, alive with color. The twilight zone, dim and cold, where most life never sees the sun. Then the midnight zone, a place of eternal darkness, crushing pressure, and unimaginable cold. And below even that, the abyssal plains and the trenches, where pressure is 1,000 times greater than at the surface. Only a handful of manned missions have reached those depths. The Mariana Trench, the deepest point known on Earth, nearly 11 kilometers down. Even here life exists. Strange, translucent creatures float in the blackness, feeding on what little the ocean drops from above. But sometimes, the cameras capture shapes far too big, movements far too deliberate. There's a haunting clip from a deep-sea probe. The camera's floodlights flicker across a dark wall, only it's not a wall, so it moves, a massive rippling surface like living flesh. Then two faint reflective circles, eyes, and before the system can focus, it vanishes. The crew reviewing the footage later estimated its size at nearly 90 meters long. Whatever it was, it moved quietly and intelligently. The official report listed it as unidentified, but the ocean keeps its secrets well. Monsters of reality. Some of the creatures we do know are real, are already the stuff of nightmares. The fangtooth with its oversized teeth that don't fit inside its mouth. The viperfish, whose translucent skin reveals glowing organs. The giant isopod, an armored crawler the size of a house cat feasting on whale carcasses. The goblin shark, pale pink and ghostly, with a jaw that launches forward like a trap. Each of these creatures evolved not for beauty, but survival. They are products of eternal darkness, where only the most ruthless and strange can endure. To us, they look monstrous, but to the deep sea, they are normal. And that raises a terrifying question. If these are the known inhabitants of the deep, what do the unknown ones look like? Whispers from the deep. In 1997, scientists at NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, recorded something that baffled the entire world. A sound. A low organic noise picked up by underwater microphones thousands of miles apart. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't geological. It was alive. They called it the Bloop. It was louder than any whale, any explosion. So powerful it echoed across the Pacific. At first, experts thought it might be an ice quake, a chunk of glacier collapsing. But the pattern of the sound was biological. Something enormous had made that noise, something alive, moving through the deep. And whatever it was larger than anything known to science. Later reports tried to dismiss it, calling it ice or volcanic activity, but the data didn't fully match. Even today, some scientists quietly admit, we don't know what made the bloop. Maybe it was an animal, a species so vast that it defies human scale, or maybe something older. The beasts that shouldn't exist. The deeper you go, the more the laws of the surface world begin to collapse. Light vanishes, time stretches, sound moves strangely, bending, warping, echoing through unseen corridors of water and stone. Down here, evolution plays by different rules. Here, size is a weapon, bioluminescence is language, and camouflage is survival. For millions of years, life in the abyss has evolved without interruption. No humans, no predators from above, only the silence and the pressure of eternity itself. That silence has given rise to things that science barely believes are possible. It is easy to assume that Earth's largest creatures are the ones we already know, whales, colossal squids, sharks. But consider this. More than 80% of the ocean remains completely unexplored. Every sonar map we have of the seafloor is incomplete, sometimes by miles. In those blank zones, something could be moving, something colossal. Fishermen along the coasts of Japan and Chile tell eerily similar tales of shadowy shapes rising beneath their boats, big enough to blot out the moonlight reflecting off the waves. Their stories describe moving islands, eyes that glimmer like lanterns, and skin that feels like sandpaper when glimpsed in the surf. For years these were dismissed as exaggerations, but sonar scans from research vessels occasionally detect massive, slow-moving forms deep beneath schools of fish, too large to be whales, too deliberate to be mechanical. One such recording, made in 2019, shows an object roughly 300 meters long. It traveled for nearly 7 minutes beneath the ship before disappearing into a trench. No known creature could reach that size, not even close. And yet there it was. The ocean doesn't exaggerate, it remembers, it hides. You see, the deep sea doesn't just hide life, it hides history. Our planet is over 4 billion years old, and for most of that time, long before trees, dinosaurs or humans, the ocean ruled everything. It was the first world, the original kingdom of life. Every creature on land today, every bird, every mammal, even us. We are descendants of what once crawled out of that black water. But not everything left. Some life stayed behind, evolving in silence, untouched by time. And those are the ones we almost never see. The lost giants. There are fossils of ancient predators that once ruled the seas. Creatures like Megalodon, the largest shark to ever exist, 60 feet long with teeth the size of a human hand. Scientists say it went extinct 3.6 million years ago. But the ocean is vast. And extinction down there is just a theory. In 1918, Australian fishermen reported their nets being destroyed by something enormous, something powerful enough to tear through steel cables. When asked what they saw, they described a shark, monstrous in size, far larger than any known whale. No one believed them. Yet decades later, deep-sea sonar began picking up signatures resembling massive moving shapes, ones that matched the dimensions of Megalodon. Maybe it's gone, or maybe it simply sank deeper, into the dark. Ghosts of the trenches. In 2002, a Japanese submersible recorded footage at nearly 3,000 feet below. The pilot described seeing a pale form, eel-like but impossibly long. When analyzed, the footage showed a slithering shape nearly 100 feet in length, too flexible for a whale, too uniform for a squid. The team named it the Ningen, a humanoid-like, pale white creature said to inhabit the Southern Ocean. It might be a myth. It might be something else entirely. Because for every deep-sea expedition, there are things seen but not shared. Images too strange, too unbelievable to release publicly. What if the abyss holds not just ancient life, but ancient intelligence? Signals from below. Over the last few decades, deep ocean microphones, hydrophones, have picked up signals unlike anything we've heard before. Not whale songs, not machinery, but rhythmic pulses, structured, patterned, almost intentional. Some scientists think it could be seismic activity. Others believe it as a form of deep-sea communication, life so evolved that it uses sound itself as a language. Remember, light doesn't travel well underwater. Sound does. It's how whales talk across entire oceans. So what if something older, smarter, and much larger has been speaking all this time, and we simply never understood it? The abyss fights back. We've begun to invade its territory, drilling, mining, dumping, exploring, and the ocean notices. In recent years, strange incidents have occurred. Unexplained submarine malfunctions, missing equipment, and ships reporting sudden violent impacts from below. Not storms, not whales, something else. Naval archives from multiple countries contain classified entries labeled unidentified subaquatic contact. Whatever's down there, it's aware, and it's getting closer to the surface. The unseen eyes imagine standing at the edge of a ship at night, staring into the black ocean. The waves shimmer faintly under the moonlight, but below that is infinite nothingness. And then, two lights flicker, far beneath you. At first you think it's your reflection. Then they move. Eyes. Every diver knows the feeling. That instinctive, primal shiver that says you're being watched. Because you are. In the deep, everything hunts. Everything watches. And humans are clumsy visitors, loud, fragile, temporary. We're not the rulers of this planet. We're just the newest guests. And the sea? It's the landlord that never left. The ocean's memory. There's a theory among deep-sea researchers called the abyssal memory. It suggests that the ocean itself holds a form of collective biological memory, that through sound, pressure, and chemical exchange, its life forms share knowledge, emotion, and instinct. It remembers the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs. It remembers when continents split and mountains drowned. And it remembers us, our ships, our wars, our waste. So maybe the monsters we fear aren't new. Maybe they're memories, echoes of what the ocean has seen before, reshaping themselves to remind us of what we've forgotten. Because every time we reach deeper, it feels less like discovery, and more like awakening something that was never meant to sleep. What lies beneath in 2021, a probe descending into an uncharted trench near the Philippines, recorded something extraordinary. A structure, smooth, metallic, and geometric. Not a rock, not coral, but something built. The feed lasted only 27 seconds before cutting off completely. When retrieved, the probe's outer shell was dented, as if grasped by something. The official explanation? Equipment failure. But the engineers swore otherwise. They said the dents were too precise, like the marks of fingers. If that's true, then perhaps the ocean doesn't just hide life. It hides civilizations, ones that never came from the surface, and never needed to. The final descent. So what happens when we finally go too deep? When our machines push past the last boundary, into the real unknown? Maybe we'll find nothing, or maybe we'll find everything. The truth is, humanity has always feared the dark. Not because of what we can't see, but because of what might already be watching from within it. And the deep sea, that eternal, shifting blackness, has been watching us longer than we've existed. It remembers every shipwreck, every scream swallowed by the waves, every light that dared to sink too far. So the next time you stand at the shore and stare into the water, remember, you're not looking into the ocean. You're looking into the oldest mind on earth, and somewhere down there in that endless silence, it's looking back,